Hello Puzzle Leads, this is Jordan. Welcome to the 2016 tutorial for the Grand Unified Theory of Love Puzzle Collateral Generation website. Thank you very much for volunteering to be Puzzle Leads. As you know, documentation is a huge part of the mystery hunt. We might see 100 or 150 puzzles over the course of the weekend, and so it's really important that we can quickly create new spreadsheets and wiki pages and keep those spreadsheets and wiki pages pretty organized so that people on the team can find them. As a puzzle lead, you will have a few primary responsibilities. First, as soon as you become the active puzzle lead, figure out who's going to go after you. Choose an on-deck puzzle lead so that if you have to leave or if you have to transition to the next person rapidly for some reason, we already have someone in place to take over for you. Second, when new puzzles are released, make sure you enter those puzzles on the Collateral site, which I will show you how to do in this tutorial. And third, when you hear that a correct answer was called in by the team, make sure that that answer gets correctly entered into our website. You can go ahead and confer with the people who solved it after they're done celebrating, and make sure you get the correct spelling and enter it into the site. There are a few differences between this site this year and previous years. I'll try to highlight those differences. The first of them is the URL. It's at apps.gutol.org, so you'll probably want to go ahead and bookmark that. Most of you should have tried to log into the site already, so I'm not going to go through that, but once you're logged in, you can go ahead and click View Modify Puzzles in the current hunt. And this is where all the action happens. So to add puzzles, to add solutions, or to update puzzle and meta-puzzle relationships, this is where you'll go. This details site has a lot of information that is pretty useful for the puzzle lead, so I'm going to go through it in some detail. First off, at the top, there will be a status indicator indicating whether there are background updates in progress or whether all the updates have been completed. It is pretty common that you will come to this page and see that there's an update in progress even though you haven't made any changes. And that's because the site occasionally will check to see if the summary page on the wiki is in sync with what we have on the site. So don't worry about seeing one background update is in progress if you haven't made any changes. Below that, there's a link to add a puzzle to the current hunt. We'll go through that in more detail later. And below that, we have added a section for puzzle solve status. So this section lists the number of puzzles and kind of what percentage of puzzles and events and meta puzzles we've solved at this point. This is something that people have asked for in the past, and the puzzle lead has to kind of just manually calculate it. Now you can just get the stats pretty easily right here. Don't feel like you need to announce this constantly to the team. If people ask, you can tell them, or if at the status meetings, the check-in meetings, that would be a great time to let people know how we're doing. But it's just there for you as a convenience should you need it. Below that, there are a number of pivots on the puzzles in the current hunt. So I've made up some puzzles as examples here. The first section will have a list of all of the puzzles, okay, and this is a good place to kind of get the link to the wiki or spreadsheet for a puzzle, or to edit the details of that puzzle. And there are also links in the puzzle name here to the hunt website and for whichever puzzle. Below that, there's a couple other pivots that come in handy. One of them is a list of all of the meta puzzles in the hunt. So this is any puzzle that has a sub puzzle. Below that, it's all of the puzzles in the hunt organized by which meta they're a part of. So for example, this fake hunt has a meta called Force Users, and then underneath that there are two meta puzzles called Sith and Jedi, and each of those meta puzzles in turn has a couple of sub puzzles listed here. So now that we've seen the information that you have at your fingertips as a puzzle lead, let's go through how to add a puzzle to the current hunt. So I can go ahead and click Add Puzzle to Current Hunt. And we're going to add a puzzle called Anakin. And let's say that Anakin is a subpuzzle of the Jedi puzzle. And then click Create and go to Index. and we'll see that there's some background updates in progress, but more importantly, Anakin is listed in the list, and it is listed as a sub-puzzle of the Jedi puzzle. If I scroll to the top and refresh the page, we'll see that there's no pending updates queued, and that Anakin now has a wiki and spreadsheet listed for it. Oftentimes the hunt will develop and we'll learn something about a puzzle that we didn't know when it was first released. So let's say in this example that we learned that Anakin is not only a sub-puzzle for the Jedi meta, but it is also a sub-puzzle for the Sith meta. So I can come in, edit the puzzle, and then control click on a PC or command click on a Mac to highlight a second meta puzzle, then click save and go to index, and that will update the relationships to show that Anakin is both in Jedi and in Sith. Now, sometimes when puzzles are released, we don't know what they're related to at all. So let's consider another scenario where a puzzle is announced called Leia, and this puzzle has a URL of Leia, and as far as we know, it's not connected to any puzzle. So I'll click create and go to index. So if I scroll to the bottom now, I'll see that Leia is not listed with any meta puzzles. Instead, it's listed as an orphaned puzzle. And what that means is that it is not associated with any meta puzzles or with any sub puzzles. This is a useful section to check for occasionally because it usually indicates that you maybe forgot a meta puzzle relationship, and you can go ahead and edit that relationship once you realize your mistake. In this case, let's say the hunt develops again and we find out that there are two puzzles listed on this page that are both sub-puzzles of the Anakin puzzle that we didn't know. In this case, the two puzzles are Leia and Mr. L. Skywalker. So I could go into Leia and attach it to the Anakin puzzle, and then go into Mr. L. Skywalker and attach that to the Anakin meta puzzle. But there's a faster way to do it in the current version of the website. If I just click Edit on Anakin, I can scroll down to the Choose Sub-Puzzles UI, and then control click on both Leia and Mr. L. Skywalker, then click Save and go to Index. And what will happen now is I'll see that at the bottom of the page there's a Anakin meta puzzle with two sub-puzzles called Mr. L. Skywalker and Leia. This is probably a little bit more complex of a scenario than we would normally see in the hunt, where Mr. L. Skywalker and Anakin are both in Jedi, and then L. Skywalker is also a sub-puzzle of Anakin, but it's possible, and our site allows you to set that up if you need to. Due to popular demand, we've also enabled one other key scenario on the website, and this is for events. So let's say that a new event is announced called Party on Endor. And I enter the name and URL. And for this one, since it is an event, I go ahead and click Is Event Puzzle, and then click Create and go to Index. And if I scroll to the very bottom here, I'll see that now there's an event section included, which lists Party on Endor as a event. And this cannot be added, if I go in and edit, it cannot be added as a sub-puzzle or meta puzzle for another puzzle. This will also generate an event puzzle on the wiki. So we've reviewed a few scenarios that might come up during the hunt. We talked about how to add puzzles, how to add meta puzzles, sub-puzzles, how to add events, what information you can get from the puzzle hunt details page here. Let's conclude by going on and looking at the collateral that's actually generated. Now during the hunt, you would probably check for these spreadsheets kind of as you're creating the puzzles, but I just wanted to save this for the end of the video for simplicity. All of the spreadsheets you create should be shared to the entire team on Google Drive. So I'm going to go to My Drive and then click Shared with Me. And sure enough, there's a puzzle called Mystery Hunt 2016 Beta Test. I open that up and all the puzzles are listed in one flat file. Now, as a puzzle lead, one tip that you might give to your teammates is that they can take this shared with me folder and drag it into their My Drive, and then when they open their own My Drive, that folder will appear. I think it makes it easier to search for in other scenarios, but not everyone knows about that, so go ahead and share that tidbit with your teammates. We also have a team wiki where we create puzzle pages and a summary page. This is a test wiki that I'm using so that I don't spam our real wiki, but I can give you the basic idea of what's happening. So you'll see a lot of updates here from the examples that I was going over. If you click on Puzzle Anakin, for example, you'll see a puzzle page. This isn't exactly how it would be formatted on a real page, but this is the basic idea. And you can also look at the summary page, which is actually formatted pretty much how it would be formatted in the real page, in the real hunt. And you'll see that everything is organized by wiki so that you can easily find the things that you're looking for. I did forget one bit on the app site, so I'm going to go back there just for a moment. What is the most important part of finding the of the hunt probably is solving puzzles. So imagine you're the puzzle lead again, and you hear your teammates cheering on the other side of the room because they solved something. You can confer with them or have them come over to you and tell you what the answer was. Once you know, you can, let's say that we solved the Darth Plagueis puzzle. You can come in, click Edit, type in the answer. I like to type answers in caps, but I think the site will actually capitalize it for you if you don't. And once you save that answer, Jar Jar Binks, you should see the solution in the solution column of the website. Now that you've made that change, once all the pending updates are complete, if you go back to the summary page on the wiki, you should be able to see that the answer has been populated. So thanks a lot for watching this video. If you have any questions, feel free to email me before the hunt or just find me at the hunt when they come up. Thanks again for volunteering, and I look forward to seeing you all soon.